Okay.
Well, I'm joined today by the amazing Katie Brockhurst. Let's try again, because it's always good when you get Brockhurst is a completely different
I'm not a sausage.
Well, in this heat, you might be.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's try again. So today I'm joined by the amazing Katie Brockhurst, coming all the way from Thailand. Now, Katie's known as the social media angel, but I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about herself and what she does for a living.
Right, yeah, so thank you. Hi. Yes, dialing in from the jungle. You can a little bit of jungle there. I'm called the social media angel. That was a nickname that was given to me by my clients, actually, because I've been working in social media for a good 10 years now. And before that, I was working in kind of broadcast media and the music industry. So I kind of got involved with social media when MySpace was around, which was only like 2005, I think. I've been doing some like history stuff this week, just seeing how young these platforms are. But yeah, I started out using MySpace and doing podcasts with radio DJs that I was managing, and just got into it very early and won some awards quite early on for digital content, and set up my own social media agency in 2007. And then about 4 years ago, I realized that I was trapped by the thing I had created, which was this agency. Obviously, social media had become what social media has become over this last 10 years. And I was stressed out, burnt out. I had, mouths to feed in the form of staff and an office to pay for. And I was pretty stressed out and was just like, heard about this digital nomading thing that people were doing. I was like, why don't I do that? But in that meantime, during that burnout, I'd got very into my own spirituality, into the mind body wellness world by going on retreats to kind of chill out, because I was doing quite a lot in the corporate world at that point, which is pretty stressful as well, because I was quite young. I was 28 when I launched my business, so I'm like 38 now. So 4 years ago, I'd been starting to work with Hay House and a lot of the Hay House authors. I'd had a big bit of success with John Parkin, who wrote the Fuck It books. I'd been going on their retreats to learn about energy and relaxation and qigong and sort of how to say fuck it to things. And in the end, actually, I said fuck it to my business. And 2014 that would be now. And then over the last 2 years, I consult and I coach, and there's a couple of people I do like run their platforms, like Diana Cooper. I don't know if you know her, who writes the Angels and Unicorns and Ascension stuff. And I kind of look after and coach a lot of the Hay House authors around doing their social media. And through that, I've then was like, well, I don't have to be in England to do that. I can do that over Skype. So I started traveling kind of this last 18 months. And I'm in Asia for sort of a 3 to 6 month stint at the moment. So that's kind of my history in a pocket size.
And let's be honest, most people can relate to the burnout. I know I did with my previous business. You get caught up in the busyness of running a business and actually lose the true essence of who you are and why you set it up.
Why you started doing it in the first place. Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Now, obviously, your main background and your main focus now is social media. And I know we talked a couple of days ago about I think you called it the vortex of doom. And for me, that summed it up completely. How often we think that social media is the only way to run our online businesses. And we get caught up in this massive drag down of must do this, must do that, have to do that, should do this. And actually, again, we start to lose the true essence of who we are and why we set up the business. Have you got any words of advice for people that are feeling like that?
Yeah. Number one is take a step back first when you're starting to feel that sense of anxiety and overwhelm about it. Like nothing good is going to come from that place. And the internet is not going to break if you don't post for a week or two, or, you know, your social media platforms will not break if you don't post for a week or two. That's all, for me, myth created around the industry, by the industry, that we've got to be posting X amount of times a day, you know, and all of this. Like, so many people will come to me with a version of their vortex, social media vortex of doom. Some of it's they've got into a comparison frenzy, or shit, that person's got 1,000 followers or 10,000, or why haven't I got 100,000 followers on Instagram? Like, so when you're in that space, again, like, take a step back and stop comparing to what everyone else is doing, because often what I find is that actually where you're at social media, it kind of, in a lot of cases, actually matches where you're at in the business. Like if you're an author and you're going on stage and you're speaking to hundreds of people on a regular basis, then, you know, how can you make your social media be in alignment with that? If you've got a small coaching business and you're just wanting to bring X amount of new clients in, do you really need 100,000 followers on something? No, actually, maybe a few hundred people in a Facebook group, in a more private environment where you can actually build real relationships. It's kind of stepping back and stop looking at what everyone else is doing and starting to look at it as a tool to how can you help it achieve your goals, rather than, oh my God, I need to become Instagram famous, because we don't all need to be Instagram famous, and nor does a lot of us want to, you know. And I think there's become this pressure and this feeling like we're not successful unless we've got X amount of followers or X amount of likes, and that's simply not true.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get this, and definitely the comparison side of things. I came off social media for about 6 months because, you know, you're bombarded by how I made 25 million overnight by just doing these 3 simple things. And yes, they probably have done 3 simple things, but what we're not seeing is the backstory and the 10 years of...
Yes. Oh my God, I was literally writing about this yesterday. I saw a post yesterday that someone had put, follow my exact formula and get my exact template for the thing I did that drove like 5,000 signups to my email list in a week. And I was just like, yeah, because that's you, and you have a certain level of profile. And so if you put something out that's free and because you're of this, like if that was me putting that out, and that formula wouldn't work for me because I'm not you.
And
so I don't know how people can even try and sell these formulas to people or give away these formulas, or, you know, that just adds to this sense of overwhelm so much.
And we are only seeing snapshots and moments of time, and when we see these things, and oftentimes we're comparing with a snapshot that's taken 10, 20 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And actually for people that are starting new businesses or starting to follow their purpose and their true passion, that can be really off-putting to see that and suddenly think, well, crap, I'm never going to be able to, you know, do that.
It makes me feel like that. And I've been working in digital for 10, 15 years. And it makes me like, it makes me feel rubbish sometimes.
Yeah. So how do you suggest that people get around that?
My thing is always to tune back into, why are you showing up on social media in the first place? Totally accept that it's okay to be a beginner or an intermediate or wherever you might fit in that equation. It's almost like trying to get fit. You know, you go to the yoga class and there's all those people in the room that are super flexible, and yet you're in there and you can barely do a cat cow. You know, it's like you've got
to even know what one is.
Yeah. You know, you kind of got to accept where you are and what you know, and rather than that comparison piece, but also just getting really true to, yeah, like I said, what it is you're showing up for. And that's usually what it is you're showing up for in the real world, because essentially the digital world is just an extension of our real world. Again, it's a tool for us to reach more people. So how can we tune back into that rather than thinking, oh my God, you know, like I said, I've got to be on social media, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. It's like focus in on what's that one thing that you can do that can help you to reach people. Like that could be a group, that could be writing a blog, that could be doing a video once a week or once a fortnight or even once a month. It's, I think, you know, it's getting back to that very core reason of what am I doing this for in the first place. And everybody's reasons for that are going to be different. And I don't think everybody has to be necessarily using social media in the same way as each other. It's like, again, if you're feeling overwhelmed, choose one platform and do that one really, really well, because that's one that you already naturally spend a lot of time on. Or, you know, it's kind of it's kind of like diluting it down so you can get good at it. So you, like that yoga class, you can go and you can practice. I kind of have a bit of I did a talk when I was in Bali earlier in the year called Yoga Your Social Media, because they're all yogis there, so they kind of got the language. But one of the things was just like, you know, you don't get on the mat and expect to be perfect. It's called yoga practice, not yoga perfect. And so I say the same for social media. It's not social media perfect, it's social media practice. So like, how can you practice and play around the thing that you're really passionate about? And start there and forget everything else. Forget trying to get an email list sign up, because no one's going to sign up to your email list unless they already know, like, and love you. How are they going to get to know, like, and love you? That is through the content that you create. So going back to those core things and focusing on what piece of content can I create on a regular basis that's going to connect with people. And that's always the place that I start.
And how do you think that, you know, because we are bombarded by so many different social media channels, what suggestion would you give to somebody who's going, well, actually, I don't know which one to choose? Quite often they might go, well, Instagram's for younger people and Facebook's for how would somebody go, right, okay, what is the best avenue stream for me to go down? Which is the best social media for me to start with?
I mean, again, would always ask my clients, where is it that they spend their time the most as a social media? I mean, some people will come and just don't spend any time on any of them. So in which case we can get slightly more strategic about, who your audience is. Obviously, if you're aiming at quite a business community, but actually you're hanging out on Snapchat, then Snapchat's probably not the best place. So you can bring some kind of common sense into it. But normally I will say go to where feels most natural. So if you tend to be active on Facebook and you kind of get Facebook, but Instagram's just a complete, like, get Facebook working first and then decide whether or not to go and do Instagram, because each of the platforms has got a slightly unique environment to it. I tend to find with my clients, most of them will do Instagram and Facebook. Some will lean more towards Facebook and some will lean more towards Instagram, but will have a presence on both. And because they're both owned by Facebook, the integration is quite nice. And so it makes that relationship quite easy between the two. And yes, there's a slightly younger skewed audience on Instagram, but equally there's enough people. And I would say it depends on what it is that you do. Like if you're a life coach or they're in spiritual world like I work in, there's a big community for that on Instagram. So I do, Instagram is somewhere I will lean towards. Some people like Twitter. To me, Twitter's dying a death, but there's still enough people on there that if that's the platform you like and that's the platform that you use, you can still use it to build relationships and have relationships that will in turn help your business, because that is the reason we're on social media. It's about relationship, really.
For me personally, I have a Facebook group that obviously this recording's going out to.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the interaction. With Instagram, I'm on it, but I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm meant to take a picture of,
Yeah.
and how you can start to build those relationships. Is it just, a sneak peek into somebody else's life? How are people
Well,
using?
not well. The way I view Instagram now, particularly since they brought out Instagram Stories, which is, if you don't know, there's like a section along the top. They basically stole the idea for Snapchat off Snapchat and introduced it into Instagram. It's great. You can like have filters. So for me, Instagram Stories is the kind of behind the scenes snapshot, because everything's gone within 24 hours. You can kind of share your day if your day's interesting enough to share. And again, this brings up loads of stress and anxiety. Now, I go through phases, and I notice when I travel, I'm more likely to post on stories than if I'm just back in England and my life feels a little bit boring, which is terrible too. Like, I have to really like watch myself on that. But yeah, stories is for snapshots. And then I would say with the kind of stuff that shows up in the news feed and the grid, there you want to be telling a story about what it is that you do and how you do it. So what I do with my clients is, or even like with my own, I have a hook. So I make what I call is my social media angel nudge. And I make that a minute long, because that's how much video Instagram can take. And each of my nudges is my theme for the week. So that should anyone land on me, they're getting like a little bit of a tip. I can keep on top of that from a management perspective. I don't feel like I have to post every day, particularly if I'm kind of doing stories and kind of keeping in touch with people that way. But should they then want to come and find out more about me, they can see a much more professional, because I think there's this thing where we feel like we've got to be celebrities somehow, and we're not. We're just people. So it becomes like a slightly blurred line. But I mean, what I always do is look at what other people are doing, and people are doing it so differently, and just take inspiration around what feels good to you. Like, I know people who very much use stories to kind of also tie in to their work stuff. So there'll be loads of tips and little bits of video that again lead back to what it is that they're showing up in the world for. But it's always about that alignment. How is what I do as my job, the reason that I want to be on social media is to attract in new clients or to build relationships, whether that's for partnerships, clients, promote any of the things. Like, it's such a great place for aftercare. Like, I feel like the videos that I do are also helping the clients that I've had one-to-one sessions with. So I would say it's like a balance between real-time content and then kind of slightly more strategic, pre-prepared and planned content. But whoever you land on, it's almost like a little mini website. You want them to get a feel for you, what you do and how you do it. So the people that just use the Instagram feed just to do behind the scenes stuff, I kind of feel like there's a lady who's got a really big following on Facebook, and she just does like behind the scenes pictures on Instagram, and I find that really boring. I wanted to post the same article she's posting on Facebook on Instagram, because that's where I personally spend more time. So it's about balance. I'll try not to overwhelm you.
It is. And one of the things that have been trying to learn, but actually I'm sure many people feel this way, it's so beyond me, I just can't even think about it, is what I would consider maybe the rules and regulations. You've got to use a certain amount of hashtags, and if you post at this time on Facebook, there's lots of algorithms that I know sit behind these systems. What is the main thing that these, and I totally appreciate that each social media is going to be different, but what are the main things that these algorithms are looking for to actually expose you to a wider group of individuals?
Well, this is really cool because actually the algorithms they get a lot of flack for being the reason people don't see your stuff. But actually they're geared up to get, their newsfeed values are, we want to get the content that matters most to the people it matters most to. So what the algorithm is actually doing is trying to learn what you as a user likes, and a user, still even that term makes me feel a bit what you are doing. So if you like, comment, share, it goes, you liked, commented or shared that, so that means you must like it. So the next time you come on Facebook or Instagram, we're going to put that post, the person that you liked, commented and shared on, towards the top of your feed. Now what it also does is it goes, a lot of people are liking, commenting and sharing on this at the same time. That mean lots of people like this. So what we're going to do is actually show this to even more of the people who've already said that they like this page because they follow it, because everybody else seems to like it. So it's using artificial intelligence to kind of learn what we all like. And its job is, the problem it wants to solve is to get the content that matters most, the people it matters most to. And so they actually say in the Facebook press room that it's personal, subjective and unique, which is why, and that it responds to authenticity. Like, people don't respond as well to stuff where they feel they're being sold to, or they feel they're being this. And you'll notice that a lot of those kind of posts are actually sponsored posts, because people are basically cheating the algorithm and paying Facebook and Instagram to get that message in front of people, rather than it being done organically. Now, my big thing is organic reach. I like to try and create as much organic reach, because I know that that's really connecting with people. And what this algorithm wants to do is connect the right people to the right content. So this is why it's like, just posting for the sake of it isn't going to work, because that's not going to really connect with people. It's the content that connects with people, that makes them feel something, that makes them like, love, write a comment, share it with their friends. And then that in turn is going to get seen by more people.
And I totally get that. And I suppose when you have your friends that you're posting out to, some people never see anything that you post. But if you're trying to, say you've got a coaching business, or you're potentially trying to sell something, where is the best place for those people to start posting? Is it in groups? Is it in, where is the best place for them to start posting? Or is it just a case that they just start on their page and go from there?
Yeah, I think the natural progression that I see is most people start posting on their profile, because that's where they've got friends and people who know them, who are likely to then kind of comment and stuff. However, from a Facebook perspective, that's actually against the Facebook rules. And so really you're meant to do any business stuff through a page. Now, I find pages right from the get-go, especially now, are harder to get going than, say, an Instagram account. So this is the point where, again, you kind of sit and you wonder, yes, getting involved in groups can never hurt, as long as, again, you're doing it authentically, genuinely. You're not just going into these groups just to try and like spam them with stuff that you're doing. And I see people who are smart, who join these groups and suddenly never say anything, and then suddenly drop in and go, oh, by the way, I've got this blog out. And it's just like, you're not part of this community. Like, become part of a community and then feel like you've got something to share. It's a tricky one, because you've got to start somewhere. But if it's your coaching business, or you've got a product, what is it? Again, what content can you create that can connect with people on a regular basis, that you can start to build a relationship with them through? And that doesn't matter if it's in a group or on a profile or on a page or on an Instagram account. For me, it really comes down to the content that you're creating. And then once you start putting it out there, you start to then see where it's sticking.
Landing. Yes. And obviously I'm hearing a lot and I know we've had this discussion about Facebook Lives being the way to go and video being the way to go. And I totally agree. It's a fantastic way for people to really truly see you as you are. However, as an introvert, as a natural kind of introvert, the thought of going on Facebook Live scares the living daylights out of me. I would start even hyperventilating, ventilating, even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And maybe part of that is still, holding on to this, well, I've got to do it right and I've got to do it perfect side of things. But what advice do you give to those people out there that are naturally introverts, that maybe are happier behind the written word, but know that actually they need to step up and start becoming visible in order to really connect with people? What advice would you give to them?
Start practicing with pre-recorded videos, but don't underestimate the value of the written word. There's plenty of people that I follow and enjoy reading and have built relationships with just because they blog on a regular basis and what they're writing is really valuable to me. I don't need to see them on video, because their writing connects to me. So that's just a number one. If writing's really your thing and video really isn't, get really good at the writing and really good at the connecting through the writing. But if you're wanting to step into the video stuff, and I was really nervous about video, and I'm the same as you, the thought of doing a Facebook Live brings me out in hives. I started just practicing. And I realized one of my big things was I realized that I love doing Skypes and Zooms and FaceTime. And I was like, well, if that doesn't make me nervous, surely if I just kind of pretend I'm on a Skype or a FaceTime and I'm answering a question for a client to the video, then that feels really natural for me. And I just practiced and just started playing with my iPhone, get my iPhone out, write a load of questions that had come up that week with clients, and I'd just film little videos. And I just got really comfy with that. And that's been the same for quite a lot of clients that I've worked with. Live, a lot of people feel stuck. I've got some Hay House author clients who are big, regular, get on stage, big groups, no problem, who have a real problem with doing live. And sometimes it's just a case of like just getting, when you're at that point and you've got quite a big audience, and there's an author that I'm working with at the moment, and I had a call with him last week, and I was just like, it's time now. It's time for you to do a live. Come on. So he went down the bottom of his garden on Bank Holiday Monday, I think it was, and he did. But he was just totally like, right, this is the first time I'm doing it. I'm a bit nervous. Let's see how this goes. But he already has an audience, so we already know that they're receptive to him. So everyone was just well chuffed that he turned up live and they could leave him messages, and he loved it. And he did about an hour. And I think by the time we like tripled viewing figures on his normal uploads. Because again, what happens is, because when you're live and say you've got an audience there, people are liking, commenting, the algorithm's going, oh, people like this. But not only that, Facebook also want Facebook Live to perform well. So if something's going on live, it'll go, all right, I'm going to show this to more of the people that we know like his page because he's using live. So I call it that the gates are open on the algorithm when they've got a new like tool or a new feature that they're promoting. But if you've only got 100 people on a Facebook page and nobody really knows you're going to go live, and it actually fills you with fear rather than kind of excitement about connecting with people, you got to think about what energy you're going to be giving out when you go live, and could that be more detrimental to your relationship building? So in which case it's better to get really comfy with pre-recorded videos, build an audience of engaged people to those, so then when you go live, you're going to have that engagement and that interactivity with the people that you're live with.
Yeah. And would you need, that definitely helps. And funny enough, for me, I did a recording on my group about the way I like to do recordings, obviously I'm sat in my office at the moment because it's the best place for reception and the lighting's quite good.
Yeah.
But actually for me, I felt far more comfortable going for a walk with my kind of little handheld, and just
stick. Yeah, absolutely.
and just being out in nature. And obviously we're moving to Barcelona, and I think as the journey to Barcelona and getting there and exploring a new country would work really well on Instagram, and maybe that 60-second thing, and the fact that you get rid of it within 24 hours really appeals. Exactly, really appeals.
That'll be funny.
Exactly.
I'll do it, but only if it's going to disappear again.
Exactly. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but actually I think for building confidence, that's a great way.
And I was really shy with stories for ages, and I have to build my, even doing what I do for a living, it still, like I said, gives me the EBGBs sometimes. Showing up and sharing, it's quite a vulnerable space to be in, and that vulnerability online with people, and you don't really know. And I think we also have this concept where some people they forget there's people on the other side, and that actually quite a lot of those people are on your side.
Yes.
They're not looking to judge you, they're not looking to catch you out, they're not looking to this. We do that to ourselves, so we will overanalyze and over scrutinize these bits of content that we put up. But quite frankly, probably someone's in the bus stop just doing this.
Yeah.
Couldn't give a shit.
No, definitely.
Nice. Oh, look at what they're doing. Oh, look, they've got a little bit of information for me. Cool. Right, on to the next bit, Flip from that app to that, flipping from Twitter to Facebook. I mean, for me, I know when I and this is one of the myths about email for me now. Everyone's got to build the list. You've got to build the list. I'm flipping between my email, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my WhatsApp. Those are and Messenger. Some people I'm talking to one-to-one, some people I'm talking to in a group, some people I'm talking. So it's almost like this concertinaed thing, and they're all just ways that we're connecting and we're communicating at quite high speed. Yeah. Actually. So I think we put all this, oh my God, what people are going to think. And actually, they're not thinking as much as we think they're thinking. It's us overthinking it.
Yeah, if at all. I mean, let's be honest, we lead such busy lives, that actually if you're looking at 5 different things at any one time, I would imagine that it's quite difficult to be fully present sometimes in what it is that you are looking at. And this is the bombardment of social media. It's this kind of, here's another one and another one and another one. And
so make it count, really. Yeah, there's the little bits that people can get to know your personality around, particularly if you're in the coaching world and you want to pick up one-to-one clients. I think it's really nice for people to get to know you. But again, it's how do you show up in authenticity? Because the last thing you want to do is trying to be a version of yourself that you think people want to see because you're a this, and then they get on a one-to-one with you and you're nothing like that person that you've presented to the world. They're not going to come back for another session. It's way more easy and less to think about to just show up as yourself and then create one piece of really great content. I normally say a week that people can really connect to, learn from, and understand what it is that you do from that piece of content. And that can be a blog, and that can be a post, and that can be a video or a live video. You get to choose. You're in control of that because people will respond to what you create. Yes, video goes further. Yes, this does this. But if you're if you're really good at writing, and that's the way, it can be so much pressure to think, I've got to do video, when you can achieve amazing things just through writing.
And let's be honest, it's about connecting to just that one person that really needs your message, your story, your product, your coaching, whatever. It's
Yeah, and that's the beauty of social media, is you get that feedback. Sometimes I post something and I think, oh, shouldn't I have posted that? And then I'll get a little comment going, you don't know how much I needed to read that today. That was really inspiring. Thank you. And you go, job done.
Yes, yeah. And like I say, we are expecting a 1,000 likes or 1,000 comments. And, especially in Facebook groups, there are so many people that are frightened to take that first step, to write that first comment, to even press the button that says like or love or laugh or whatever. They so want to take that first step to being visible, but actually the very thought of it, I'm an introvert, but, I like the social interaction, but in a smaller group. But there are people out there that are absolutely petrified. They know that they have an amazing message and story and service to give, but actually the very thought of even taking that first step fills them with complete and utter dread.
But then it's baby steps. It has to be baby steps. You have to really hold yourself in that with a real compassion around that and go, how can I, if I really got to do this, how can I do this and make this feel as safe and as comfortable as possible? And that could be in a group. Like I always say to those people who are really scared of being out there, create a group of people that you already know that you can get feedback from, and you can start to build that confidence. Same way as getting on that yoga mat and building that core strength. How can you just get on there and just feel totally safe and held in a space where you can build this confidence? And you'll go from a few posts to a few comments to then publishing a blog to doing a video, and be totally like embrace that journey of it, rather than thinking I've got to have 1,000 followers, I've got to have all the and trying to jump ahead without actually having. It's like all work. Like it is work. It is really work at the end of the day. Whether it's mirror work through doing video, or it's this confidence building work, it can't be avoided if we want to step up and show up online or in the world at large, because online is the world at large.
Yeah. And it's remaining true to your authentic self, and I think that sometimes gets lost. I think there was a video on Facebook a while back of different people setting up scenarios, so there was a young girl who'd come home, and obviously all her friends were out, so she put on her makeup and she did her hair and she got a glass of wine and she took a selfie of what that was. And then the guy who was at the bar, who was lonely at the bar, then put his arm around somebody and took a photo. And I just think we are living in a world, or a world is being produced of smoke and mirrors of the type of lives that we need to lead, of the type of food, and there are huge amounts of incredibly lonely people out there, because social media, I'm not saying that social media is responsible for it, because the people that are posting and not being authentic selves.
We're always going to get that. Where there's light, there's dark. Where it's yin and yang. It's all of those things. And I've been really exploring this actually, because I told you I'm writing at the moment, and this was something I was really kind of playing with this week. Was this idea of we've got to be the ones to show up and create that change, because if we're all still doing what everyone else is doing, we're not going to. Like I said, these are tools, they're platforms, we can use them however we choose to. We choose to show up in authenticity, we choose to create content that's in service, we choose to try something different that hasn't maybe been tried before. And these platforms are young, like they're like you say, 10 I mean, Facebook's 13 years old this year. I think Instagram's they're still in their infancy. And so we've been in our infancy with them, and they got slightly out of control. And yes, there's been this spin-off into using them in a way. And unfortunately, those people who are at that point in their journey where they've got to create these fake scenarios. It's like, I remember this, I don't know why I just thought of this, but there's this dating show called, what was it called? Something about fish. Anyway, something to do with people catfished. Where people were making up fake identities on social media and then like dating people online, but never like FaceTiming with them. And these relationships would go on for months and sometimes years. And this program would basically go and help them find out who the person was. And often it wasn't who they said they were. And the reason a lot of them had done it was, you know, maybe they didn't like the way they looked, maybe they didn't, you know, and it all came down to insecurities. So it's again like it's like all the root of all illness. Like, how we can't just, you know, we've got to go back to the roots of these things, and we've got to accept that there's always going to be that stuff going on. And it's like, how do we choose to show up? Who do we choose to hang out with online? Because we have that control. You can unfollow somebody, you can tell Facebook, I don't actually like that post, can you hide that please? And it'll go, oh, why do you not want to see any more of this? No, I don't. So you can start to curate your feed to be around people that you think are in alignment with you, in the same way you would in the real world. You don't go and hang out somewhere where it doesn't feel good. I think we've got a bit of a hangover in the fact that, you know, we made friends with people, we joined groups, we liked pages over this last 10 years. And we need to get a little bit more like going in and like culling stuff and going, actually, you're not good for me, unfollow. That's fine. They're probably never going to notice. I think we kind of get all, I'm English, so get a little bit British about it and go, oh gosh, what are they going to think if they see I've unfollowed them? It's like, so actually, do I care?
No. And actually, I think we, you know, a lot of people transfer that into their real lives. You know, they hang around with people that don't necessarily make them feel good. You know, we've had a discussion in the group this week about, you know, finding those people that resonate, finding those people that understand that you're not having to justify why you've stepped out of the box of normality. And the box of normality works exceptionally well for a vast array of people, and not everybody wants to step out of that box. But for those that do, it would be really good that they're, you know, not having to justify everything. And you know, I think it swings both ways. You know, what is replicated in the real world is replicated on the online world. Absolutely.
For me, it's a bridge. It's us in a slightly different dimension, in this digital dimension that we're existing in, that has kind of taken us slightly by surprise, because 10 years ago, we weren't all stuck to our mobile phones and chatting people between. I mean, I remember when I was in my very early 20s, when I was still at university, you know, we couldn't even send text messages at that point and stuff. So the fact that we can now do all these amazing things through our phones, but also we've got caught up in slight addiction cycles when it comes to social media, and so it can create unhealthy patterns. So what we have to do, like in life, you know, if we notice we're drinking too much, or we notice we're eating too much, or we're doing, you know, X, Y, or Z too much, we've got to bring things back into balance. And so seeing online as this extension, and becoming conscious to it rather than being unconscious to it, I find really helps with that, because it is here and it is not going anywhere.
No, I mean, you know, my kids think it's really weird. I was 28 when I first got my phone, and I remember saying to the guy that bought it for me, I really don't need this. I don't understand why I would ever need a mobile phone. And actually now you kind of walk out the house and you maybe drive down the drive and realize that you haven't got your mobile phone with you, and it's just like, oh my God, how's anybody going to get hold of me?
Yeah.
And that you know, there's a time and a place for that. So what pieces of advice would you give to somebody to manage the time that social media takes up their life in their business, to have that balance so that we don't all end up being busy for the sake of being busy?
So my best piece on this is in terms of all of it really is to have a strategy, number one, and I call it a framework to flow within. So commit to creating your content, and that's something that you can actually batch. So I always say, so again, for my social media angel nudges, I will record 30 of them in a morning, and I will know, and then they will last me. If I'm only publishing one of those a week, that's 30 weeks worth of content, and that takes the pressure off me completely, because I know I've always got something that I can go to, that I can share with my audience, that's in alignment with who I am and what I'm doing in the world. So kind of get into that. I'd say, have this framework, have something that you do on a regular basis and stick to it. And I normally say, if you're coming up with a new idea, is test that for 3 months, because you can't know in a month, because of how people view things. It needs to kind of get some steam behind it. The next thing is, if you kind of got comments and groups you're in, limit your use. Say, okay, on a Thursday morning for an hour, I'm going to spend time in these groups and replying to comments. Again, we don't have to do it every day. It's if you think about the real world, do we go and knock on everyone's doors every day and go, can I have a conversation, please? Can I have a conversation? No, I don't want to speak to you every day. Maybe once a week would be nice, or once a month is cool, but we've completely forgotten about the etiquette. It's like being in a room shouting, going, look at me, speak to me. It's just okay, would we do that in reality? No, we wouldn't. So coming back from thinking that we've got to be on it all the time to be successful at it, actually choosing wisely what you do and when you do it, and having a bit of time put aside for that specifically, so there's an intention behind it, can really help get away from that swirling, and trying and not feeling like we're getting anywhere. Commit to something, create something, share something, and then have time to connect with people around it.
I love that. Commit, create, and share.
And then let go. Let go of the attachment, and let it go out there into the digital world, and do what it needs to do, and connect with who it needs to connect to. And when you're doing something on a regular basis, and with most of my clients, I try and get them to commit to a short weekly video. Some will resonate some weeks more than ever, but again, we've got to drop that attachment. Just knowing that we're showing up in this way on a regular basis, it is enough, I would say, because you'll get some people that week, that was what they needed to hear. Another week, those people, and then when it's there, people could come and find it again, and they'll come back round to it, and so then it helps them then. And if I would say, if we're in service, and if the algorithm is responding to authenticity, and we're showing up in our authenticity, it's only a matter of time before the right people are kind of attracted in and start to connect with it and share it with their friends that need it, and all of those kinds of things.
And it is about being in service, and like I say, if that service is one person, then great. If it's helped and it's given that message and it's provided that one person with what they need, fantastic. And if you're authentic over a period of time, like your yoga mat, that will hopefully start to impact on more and more people. Now, I'm fully aware that time difference, etc. So for those people that have absolutely loved the information that you've given, and to be honest with you, I personally could carry on talking for the whole day, because every time I speak to you, I learn something new. And actually, it's really reassuring to know that some of the feelings and the worries and the concerns that I have about social media, I'm not alone on. And actually, it is about using it as a tool. So for those people that want to learn more about what it is that you do and how you help people and the work that you do with the Hay House authors, where would they find you?
My website is socialmediaangel.love, and there's a ton of stuff on there, as all my nudges are on my blog. I'm also on Instagram, ktk._socialmediaangel, and my Facebook page is Social Media Angel. And I mainly do one-to-ones, and they can be across a period of time or just a one-off. I also, last year, I'd kind of jumped on the whole online course.
How did that work out?
Played with it a bit. And actually what I did was I created some groups and then used the content I created for the groups. I ran like groups like 30 days, and that's called Social Media Angel School. And I've actually put that together now as a home school that's on my website. That's like £111, and you can kind of go through like a whole process and tons of videos and interviews with Hay House authors and all sorts of stuff. I love it, but I never push it because I'm like over online courses now.
Yeah.
Over online courses and over people having membership groups.
But I would imagine
really quick.
that's a great thing, you know. So you know, you've got all the information that you need there, and again, you know, it's nice to do things in our own time. It's nice to be able to look at things and go, right, okay, what do I need? I need X. Where can I go? I know I can go there. You know, let's fit it in around me, because quite often things are set at certain times. And so you have to do it within a certain period of time, or you're kicked out. And
I hate all that. You've got to sign up by then. It's over. It's digital. It's not over. Sat on a server somewhere.
Exactly.
I do in there. There's like something I do, like a questionnaire, strategy questionnaire, which everyone says they find really, really useful for kind of getting clarity. And I think I even offer that as you can just sign up just to do. You think you can buy just the questionnaire, and if you fill that in, I'll record you like a video back to say what my input is on what you've put in your questionnaire. So there's loads of different, they're all in the services section on my website. I just kind of make things up as I go along, and then if people want
yeah, nice. Well, what I will do is, obviously I will post all your details below.
Thank you.
You know, anybody that wants to get hold of you, you are in the Women of Contribution group, so when the recording goes live, are you happy to answer any questions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, stick your comments below and I'll happily chip in and answer some questions. Yeah, no, I find it fascinating. I love hearing about people's relationship with social media. Yeah.
And people's relationships, like they are in day to day, are very varied. I go through love-hate relationships where actually I need some space and I step back, and then other times where I absolutely love it and the interaction is fabulous.
We are creatures that have phases. It's, you know, the moon has its phases, we have our phases, and I think this ideal that we've got to show up like every day, 5 times a day, like, again, I just think that's old paradigm now. It's like, actually, how can this work alongside us and work for us rather than us working for it?
And it would be great at some later stage to have another chat about the spiritual side of things, because obviously, you know, we talked about being in flow in the environment that you're in, and obviously you're in Thailand. I'm just about to move to Barcelona, and I've had that discussion with a lot of people. So maybe at a later stage we can have a talk about the kind of spiritual aspects of creativity where you are in the environment you're in.
Sure, no problem. Oh, it's been good to talk.
Well, it's been a real pleasure as always, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye.